Hi everybody, welcome to Vijasa Foundation. My name is Manoj Swaminathan and today I am going to give you some tips for preparing a very good CV for getting the right job in pharmacovigilance. If you are a fresher, it will be extremely useful, and if you are already working in pharmacovigilance, then also it will be definitely useful for you. So all of this is for getting a dream job in pharmacovigilance. First, let us talk about the recruitment yield pyramid. Okay, assume that there is a vacancy, okay, and there is only one vacancy, and there is an advertisement, and based on that, there were around 240 applications. Now there are 240 applications, but then only one CV will finally get the job. Okay, and for that, the initial process is that of screening, and the screening is done for the CVs first. And in the process of screening, only 50% of the CVs manage to get to the next stage. You will appreciate that having a good CV is so relevant here, right? That you get only 50% chance. And if you don't have a good CV, you will lose out on this chance. And if you are selected or your CV is screened, then you may get some assignment, and based on that assignment, you may be called for an interview. So if there are around 240 applications, around 120 would get a call. That's a screening call by the HR, and 30 of them will get an assignment, and 15 of them would be called for an interview. And if there are 15 people called for an interview, then only 5 of them will manage to go to the second round, and finally only one would get the offer. So the main part of this recruitment yield pyramid is the shortlisting of the CV. And for that, you need to be in the 50% bracket where your CV is good, and also something which gets shortlisted by the HR. Now we always get confused on which term to be used. And there are three terms: biodata, CV, and resume. And which should we use, right? When we talk about biodata, biodata includes attributes, hobbies, interests, and educational qualifications. The CV is a detailed synopsis which indicates the professional experience. And finally, the resume is the summary of skills, educational qualification, and experience of a person. Now, you might be wondering which is the right term, right? But then one thing is for sure, that biodata is not meant for corporate jobs. So at least that you know. Now only two are left: CV and resume. In the corporate world, should we use the term CV or resume? And what should be the header, right? In your own document, should it be resume or CV? So what is the difference between resume and CV? Resume emphasizes skills. It is used when you apply for a position in the industry, a non-profit, and also in the public sector. And finally, it is only of 1 or 2 pages, not beyond that. However, in case of CV, it emphasizes on the academic accomplishments. Then it is used when you are applying for positions in academia, fellowships, and also applying for grants. And finally, it is something which is more detailed, 2 to 4 pages. And sometimes it might be even longer, and all depends on the list of publications you have. So if you have 200 publications, you may not be able to fit it in 2 pages. So you might require more pages, right? So what does that mean? That a resume is relevant for corporate jobs and CV is only for academic jobs. So we should we would now talk about resume only, okay, for the rest of the presentation. Now, as I told you, that you only have a 50% chance, and that is why you want to create the right first impression, right? So you only have one chance, and that is the reason why you should have a very good CV. I would like to repeat that a good resume should have only 1 or 2 pages, not more than 1 or 2 pages. If it is more detailed, it's of no use because people don't have so much time to screen your resume. Now, $1 million question. Should you include a covering letter while applying for jobs? In my opinion, it is a good idea to have a covering letter, especially when you apply for a job in MNCs, the pharma MNCs. They give you an option of uploading the cover letter. And even if you don't have, that's not a problem. You can always tell that you don't have one. So that's okay. But then, in my opinion, it is good to have a cover letter. And if you're sending a CV, a resume through email, then you can always provide the information in the body of the email. So you don't need a cover letter. But then, if you are uploading onto some portal, then it is a good idea to have a covering letter. And it's not that you prepare a covering letter and there is a particular date and you use it always. No, it should be customized for every single interview you attend. So you please make sure that it's up to date because it might give a wrong impression to the recruiter. Now the question is, what should you include in the covering letter? I'll be providing you some demo where I'll give you more details. But then, yes, it should be short and concise, where it should be to the point and which position you are applying for, and something about your qualifications. That should be more than enough. Very important. There should not be any spelling mistakes. If you want to spend more time on reviewing it or want to get it reviewed by some expert or your peers, it's okay. But then please make sure there are no spelling mistakes. Many times I find CVs where a resume where somebody is applying for a job in pharmacovigilance and the spelling of pharmacovigilance itself is wrong. So this again gives a wrong impression. So you should be extremely careful about such things, and you can use spell check tools, or you can even get it reviewed by people who have very good grammatical skills. Even that should be good. But then please make sure that you don't make any spelling mistakes. So that's very important. And nowadays people also use special tools for screening resume, and those tools can identify spelling mistakes, and unnecessarily that will harm your chances of getting shortlisted. Then the resume should have the right chronology, right? So if you have done masters in pharmacy, then you should not say that, okay, I have done bachelor's in pharmacy and then masters in pharmacy. You should always start with the latest qualifications. If you have done an MBA, then you can mention that you have done an MBA, and then you can provide more information on what all qualifications that you have. So that is very important. Uh, Also, uh, on the top or on the header, if you want, then you can include your name along with your qualifications. So that also gives somebody the indication about your qualifications. So the right chronology is very important. And right chronology is also important for the people who are experienced in pharmacovigilance. If you have worked in multiple companies, then somebody would, or a recruiter would like to know where you are currently working, or where you last worked, right? It's not that, okay, you completed your post graduation and started working somewhere. You start from there, and the recruiter has to search where you are currently working. So that's not a good idea. So always use the right chronology. Very important. Your email address matters. Okay. And it's obvious that you'll be using your personal email address. You won't be using the corporate email address that to pertaining to a job where you are currently engaged with. So it's very important that you use a good email address. This is an example, right? So nobody is interested in uh, your political preferences. So you should avoid using such email addresses. Or there are some more examples. then nobody is interested in such your preferences. And the best way to have a good email address is by using the first name and the last name. uh, it, it's very common to get disappointed where you don't get the same email address, right? So you can have some numbers, absolutely no problem. Some people use their year of birth, even that is okay. If not, any random number also should be good. But then first name, last name is always recommended. And if it is very long, then yes, you can shorten it by using the abbreviations. That should also be good. But then please don't use such email addresses that you can see on the screen, right? Very important. You should always avoid irrelevant information. I have personally seen many CVs or resume where I have found irrelevant information. Uh, you don't need to include information about your father's name, mother's name, brother's name, sister's name, or not even your passport number. Nobody wants to know that, okay, you have interest in going abroad. Absolutely not. Nobody wants to know the name of your school or your achievements. Achievements you have to be very, very careful about, because I've seen some resume where somebody would say that I, when I was in fourth grade in my school, I won the uh, carom competition, or when I was in grade 10, I won the debate competition. Nobody is interested in looking at these things, or else there may be some people who would include information that I organized an event in my school, or I was a kabaddi champion, or say state level or something. So you have to be very careful about it in terms of achievements. If you have done something which is relevant to the job you are applying for, then that should be okay. But if not, then please refrain from using them. Very important. Nowadays, most of the work happens using the mobile phone, right? So your CV should be mobile friendly. And this one example, right, where somebody or the recruiter is trying to screen the CVs, and they open your mobile on the your resume on their mobile. It should be such that they can see everything in one screen, or at least one the complete page can be seen. And also, it will be useful if you can use some hyperlinks, like the link to a LinkedIn profile, or any other social media links which are relevant to your candidature. Again, nobody is interested in your Facebook profile, or any other or Instagram or any such links. Absolutely not. Um, Another important stuff is with regards to the font which you are using, the font size, and also the name of the font, right? It should be visible on mobile. You can do one thing, you can prepare a resume and you can share with your friend, and you can ask them to check on their mobiles whether they are able to read it easily. So such piloting can definitely help. But then it is extremely important to have a mobile friendly resume. You can find here, and even while I'm talking about, and even here I have used the term CV. I always like to use the term CV, but then yes, when I'm applying for something, I would always make sure that I use the term resume only. The right headline, right? So nowadays, it is very important to use the right headline, right? Something which impresses the people, right, or the recruiter. So this is both useful for the freshers as well as the people who are experienced, where in one statement you provide all the information about yourself. uh, so that will be extremely useful. I'll give you some ideas, especially if you are a fresher. Here is one example where the candidate is has done masters in pharmacy. Okay, and it's mentioned M.Pharm in clinical pharmacy, ability to work with clinical data and handle medical coding dictionary, can work well under pressure and make the best of any situation. Passionate individual with great interpersonal and communication skills. So this looks very attractive as well, and this person is a fresher. So nothing mentioned about the current job or something. But then, yes, a recruiter would certainly get impressed with such kind of headlines. So this is primarily for the freshers. Now, if you are experienced, so it might be different, where this is one example of a person who has more than 4 years experience in pharmacovigilance, 4+ years of experience in case processing and medical writing, experience in handling large teams, strong quantitative analysis and statistical modeling skills, and also looking for a senior team manager position. So this is for the people who are experienced and not for the freshers. So if you're experienced, then you can also mention that what position you are looking for. Again, as and when you are applying for a job, you can make tweak. Uh, so if uh, in that company they don't have senior manager position and they have something like a senior analyst position, you can always make those changes. One or more resume, right? So, in my opinion, it is always good to have multiple resume. If you are a fresher and you're open for jobs in pharmacovigilance, clinical data management, clinical research, then it is always good to have three separate resume. One which talks about your interest in pharmacovigilance, one which talks about your interest in clinical research, and the third one which talks about your interest in CDM. uh, it's always good to have multiple resume, because it should not happen that there is a job opportunity in clinical research and you share your resume which talks about pharmacovigilance. So that's something which I would always recommend, to have multiple resume. And if you are experienced, again, what kind of profile you are looking for. If you want to get into pharmacovigilance quality, then your resume should talk more about the quality. And if you want to get into some team lead or team manager position, then yes, your resume should talk about your leadership qualities. So you should be very careful about it, and not that okay, one size fits all, that you prepare one resume and share it with all the recruiters. No, this is not at all advised. Then, using the right pharmacovigilance keywords, especially if you're looking for a job in pharmacovigilance, you should use the right kind of keywords. If you have done some diploma course, certification course, then you should use those terms in the resume. And if you have some information about the databases like RSG, Argus, or you have idea about Medra coding or medical coding, or you have experience in aggregate safety reporting, or you have idea about risk management, signal management, you can include those terms in the resume. That will be very useful, because nowadays people use artificial intelligence tools. So I have a separate video. If you want, I can share the link below. And where people want to use artificial intelligence tool to identify the right kind of resume. So if your resume has the right kind of keywords, there are more chances to get shortlisted. So that is again a suggestion. Your resume should be simple yet elegant. So this is a one pager, absolutely one pager. It has all the information, and because it is concise, it makes it very easy to get identified as well. And this also has a photo. Photo is again optional, but then yes, it adds value. And there are some tools available. I'll show you one of those interesting tools. So, what are the components of a good resume? You should include information on your personal details. Uh, it's not advisable to include your address, but then at least you can provide the state and city where you are based out of. Then, personal profile statement or the header, right? So, or the tagline, as I said, it's always good to have a tagline. Then your achievements, you have to be very careful. Again, something which is relevant to the job. You should not include any irrelevant achievements, something what you did long back or in your school or college. Absolutely not. Educational details, yes, extremely important. Employment details. So education and employment, be careful that you should use the right chronology. Then qualifications, yes, again the right kind of information. And qualifications, why I have stated is because uh, some people have the habit of including in the header itself the name along with all the qualifications. So you can also do that. Otherwise, at times I have come across a resume where I had to search for the qualifications. So this is not really a good idea. Then you should include some information on your skills. So if you have some, say, leadership qualities or teamwork related skills, so that again, teamwork is a good keyword for your resume. So you should include some information on your skills. Then hobbies. Hobbies, you have to be extremely careful. You should not write browsing internet or say. I recently came across one resume where somebody had mentioned that I like to trade in cryptocurrency. So this gives a wrong impression. So be careful about including your hobbies uh, to the point, and also something like reading books should be good, or novels should be good, and you should be careful about it. Again, I would repeat: don't write simple terms like reading, say, comics or browsing internet. Absolutely not. So this is again very important. Then finally, references. So references are optional. It is good to include references, one or two references, but then again, even if you don't include references, that should be okay, because once you get shortlisted, again the recruiter would ask for references and contact them. So you can also provide it at the later stage. If you have space in your resume, then yes, you can definitely include one or two references. Now, again, $1 million question, whether your resume should be in Word or PDF, and also whether you should include photo, date, place, and signature. So, all these are optional. Uh, in my opinion, if you have a doubt, then you can have two versions, one version which is Word and other which is PDF, and you can share both. Or if you want to include your photo, uh, then probably PDF might be more convenient. And also, if you want to include your signature, again, PDF might be more convenient. So you can decide how you want to do it. And if at all you have more time, then you can have two versions and you can share both. Uh, Now, there are some recruiters who prefer the resume in Word format because they upload that into some portals. So those portals only allow Word documents. So that's why there may be some requirements. So you can look into it. Then some free tools, right? And this is one free tool which I am using. I'll just show you. So sorry. And that is Canva. Okay, so Canva is very useful and very user friendly, and also you can prepare very attractive resume. So I'll just search for resume, and once I did that, so I can find a lot of templates. You can go through all the templates, the one which you like, you can use that. I will randomly select one, which is this one. So I have selected this one, and I have an option to uh, customize it. I'll just show you how to do it. So here I can always delete this and I can add my photo. I can do that. Then the name, you can update it. So for example, I will just, so the font size is more, so I can reduce it so that it, it's like this. You can use the color of your choice. You can include all the information, and also there is a template for the cover letter. So you can do that. You can include all the relevant information, and even you can use the same as it is provided. Even that can be useful. And then finally your signature, you can delete it and you can add your signature, and the name also you can include your name. Just that is, you need to customize as per your name, right? So once you do all these things, you can then download this. So you click on share, where you have an option to download. So you have an option to download in various formats like PNG, or even in the form of PDF. You can always do that. So once you download, uh, it will take few seconds, and then your attractive resume is ready. So I'll just show you how it looks like. So this is how it looks like, a two-pager, very attractive and good to go, and to get the dream job, right? Now, so this is a free tool. I showed you that you can get your resume and also a standard cover letter. So that makes your life very easy. And there are lots of templates, and you can use the template of your choice. Right? So with this, we come to the end of today's presentation. I trust this was very useful, and all the best for getting your dream job. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions. Thank you, and all the best.